topic. What was the last topic discussed? What was the last topic? Conquest of Alauddin. We completed the South Indian conquest also. Yes. Then next. Okay. Next point. Alauddin Khalji secularized the state politics. Alauddin Khalji, he secularized the state politics. He secularized the state politics and he kept the religious class out of politics. He kept the religious class out of politics. He kept the religious class out of politics. So Alauddin Khalji, he as a ruler, he never allowed the religious class to interfere in the religion. He was against the religious interference in the matter of politics. So Alauddin, what he did was, he kept the religious class outside the politics. That was one of the significant achievements of Alauddin. The next point, Alauddin, he also rejected the racist policy of Balban. He also rejected the racist policy of Balban. Balban, I already mentioned that he was a racist. Alauddin, he rejected the racist policy of Balban. He never accepted the racist politics of Balban. Balban's racist politics was opposed by Alauddin. He admitted non-Turks. He admitted non-Turks. Non-Turks, that is people outside the Turkish origin, and the Indian Muslims also into the administration. He allowed non-Turks and also Indian Muslims into administration, and also Indian Muslims into the administration. So that was Alauddin. Then Alauddin's many other reforms are there, like the market control reforms of Alauddin, his military reforms, his revenue reforms. That all we will study as a part of the administration of Delhi Sultanate. So I'm not going to detail Alauddin's reforms right now. We have plenty more to study on Alauddin, like market control policy, then his revenue reforms, his military reforms and all that we will see in the administration of Delhi Sultanate. Next, in 1316, Alauddin Khalji died. Alauddin Khalji died in 1316. So in 1316, Alauddin died. So that was the end of Alauddin. And he was succeeded by his son, Mubarak Khalji. He was succeeded by his son, Mubarak Khalji. So initially some troubles were there. Malik Kafur tried to create some troubles and all, but Malik Kafur was killed by Alauddin's. Malik Kafur killed many sons of Alauddin, and finally Malik Kafur was killed by the bodyguards of Alauddin. Some trouble was there after the death of Alauddin. That's just a story only, no need to worry much on that. After some trouble and all, Alauddin's son, Mubarak Khalji, he became the ruler. Mubarak Khalji became the ruler. And this Mubarak Khalji, he was the only Delhi Sultan to declare himself as Caliph. All other Delhi Sultans, they accepted the leadership of Caliph. But this person, Mubarak Khalji, he was the only Delhi Sultan to declare himself as the Caliph. So this is what happened significantly in the period of Mubarak Khalji. Mubarak Khalji was the only Delhi Sultan to take the title Caliph. So Caliph was a title taken by this Mubarak Khalji, Caliph. That was the title of this Mubarak Khalji, Caliph. Caliph. Then next, in 1320, he was killed by his deputy sultan. He was killed by his deputy sultan. And deputy sultan post was called Naib Malik. Naib Malik was the title of deputy sultan. We can call in English deputy sultan, but it was called Naib Malik. It was called Naib Malik. Naib Malik. And so this deputy sultan, his name was Khusru Khan. Khusru Khan was the name of that person. And this Khusru Khan, he killed Mubarak Khalji. And he tried to become the ruler. Khusru Khan, he tried to become the ruler. But Khusru Khan was a Hindu converted into Islam. And not only he was the killer of the Sultan, the Turks were not ready to accept him as the ruler. So why he killed was he wanted to become the ruler. So he killed the Sultan Mubarak Khalji and tried to become the ruler. But the Turks were not ready to accept that, and Khusru Khan was killed by a Turkish commander named Ghazi Malik. Turkish commander named Ghazi Malik. He killed this Khusru Khan. Khusru Khan was killed by this Ghazi Malik. Ghazi Malik. So that's how the Khaljis came to an end. With the Mubarak Khalji dynasty came to an end, and Khusru Khan tried to become a ruler, but Turks didn't allow that. Turks killed Khusru Khan. And now comes the next dynasty of Delhi Sultanate, Tughlaq. Tughlaq dynasty. 1320, 1412. This is the time period of the Tughlaqs. 1320 to 1412, the time period of Tughlaqs. 1320, 1412. That's the time period of the Tughlaqs. And the Tughlaq dynasty was established by Ghazi Malik. Ghazi Malik established the Tughlaq dynasty. Ghazi Malik established the Tughlaq dynasty. And he was called Sultan Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. He was called Sultan Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Sultan Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. So, thus started the third dynasty of Delhi, that is Tughlaq dynasty, with Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq as the first Sultan. And you know, he is famous in the history for two reasons. First one, he was the first Delhi Sultan to construct irrigation canals. First Delhi Sultan to construct irrigation canals. First Delhi Sultan to construct irrigation canals. Tughlaq is the name of their tribe. All are Turks only. Last class itself, I think, I informed that they are the Turks and the Zaids, only one Lodis, the Afghans. All are Turks only. Tughlaq never means Turk. Tughlaq is a Turkish tribe. That's the name of their tribe, clan. Okay. So first thing, he is famous for the construction of irrigation canal. Second thing, he started the postal system. Postal department. Postal system was started by Tughlaq. Postal system was also started by the Tughlaq. Postal system was also started by Tughlaq. Then in 1325, he was killed in an accident. In 1325, he was killed in an accident, and he was succeeded by his son, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He was succeeded by his son, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq became the next ruler. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he became the next ruler. In 1325, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he became the ruler. 1325, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And he directly took over South India into Delhi Sultanate. He directly took over South India into Delhi Sultanate. Directly took over South India into Delhi Sultanate. So Delhi Sultanate became an all India phenomena. Except for Kerala, all other regions of India came under the control of Delhi Sultanate, up to Rameshwaram. Tamil Nadu was also a part. So the largest extent of Delhi Sultanate, that was under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. If a question is asked in that way, the largest extent of Delhi Sultanate was under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So he created a huge empire, a very big Delhi Sultanate. But you know, traditionally, Muhammad bin Tughlaq is known as the mad sultan, wisest fool. He was termed as the wisest fool. Many call him a mad sultan. And all this because of his grand projects. He is best remembered for his grand projects. Best remembered for his grand projects. First one, transfer of capital. First grand project was the transfer of capital. Transfer of capital. That was first project. Tughlaq shifted the capital from Delhi to Devagiri. He shifted the capital from Delhi to Devagiri in Maharashtra. Delhi to Devagiri in Maharashtra. And he renamed the Devagiri as Daulatabad. Renamed it as Daulatabad. Renamed it as Daulatabad. So Devagiri was renamed as Daulatabad, and he made a capital to the centrally located position. Why he shifted the capital? What was the reason for the shift? Why the capital was shifted? What could be the reason for the shift in the capital? Why the capital was shifted to Delhi, from Delhi to Devagiri? Why was this capital shift by Muhammad bin Tughlaq? What was the reason? What was the reason? Yeah. It is to control both south and north effectively. Centrally located position, idea was to control south and north effectively. To control south and north effectively, because he conquered South India. So to control North India and South India effectively. It was to control North India and South India effectively. That was the reason why he conquered South, and he wanted to have a capital at a centrally located position. But the capital shift failed because of the opposition from the people. Failed because of the opposition from the people. Failed because of the opposition from the people. And eventually the capital was returned back to Delhi. And eventually the capital was returned back to Delhi. So he failed to win the support of the people. He actually forced the leading men of Delhi to migrate to Devagiri. They disliked that. Many leading men who considered Delhi as their home, they were ejected from Delhi to an alien land. They always opposed. Even in Devagiri, they protested. And finally, because of the protest and all, Sultan had taken back the capital because he shifted to central India. He failed to control both south and north. His absence from north created troubles there. After shift also, he could Delhi's control. Vijayanagar and all became independent. So no way this capital shift brought anything good for Sultan. It actually created troubles for him. And after wasting so much money on this capital shift, humiliatingly, he eventually shifted the capital back. So first project failed. Second project, the proposed Khorasan expedition, proposed Khorasan expedition. Proposed Khorasan expedition. Khorasan, it is somewhere near this our Iraq region. Khorasan was in the border of West Asia and Central Asia. It was in the border of West Asia and Central Asia. Border of West Asia, Central Asia, and Tughlaq wanted to conquer this region. Tughlaq wanted to conquer this region. Tughlaq, he wanted to conquer this region. He wanted to conquer this region after the decline of Mongol Empire. After the decline of Mongol Empire. After the decline of Mongol Empire. Say Mongols ruled this area. Khorasan is now in Iraq. It was in the border of West Asia, Central Asia. Okay. See, we consider this as India's boundary, Hindu Kush. Assume that this is the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush mountains, and the region around this area, that is Khorasan. So that is the Iran-Iraq region is Khorasan. This is the boundary of India. Tughlaq wanted to expand his kingdom. Okay, we are not sure what was his real motive, but anyway, he wanted to play a big role in the Central Asian, West Asian politics. And when Mongols declined, there was no one to control this region. Tughlaq, it was a fortunate opportunity for Tughlaq to conquer this area without any much opposition. So Tughlaq wanted to conquer this area only because there was no one there at that time. After the Mongols, the power declined there, no strong power there, easy to conquer. The same way India was invaded by many people when India had a weak rule, the same way now weak rule was in Central Asia. Tughlaq wanted to conquer that area. He created a new army of 350,000. Recruited a new army of 350,000. Just for this purpose, he recruited 350,000 soldiers and paid them 1 year salary in advance. Paid them 1 year salary in advance. Paid them 1 year salary in advance. So just imagine 350,000, 1 year salary you are paying them. But Tughlaq then did a terrible mistake that he didn't take action at the right time. He simply wasted the time. Army was kept idle for an year. The army was kept idle for an year. He didn't act swiftly. He just keep on waiting. He just kept the army idle for an year. And by that time, power equations changed. Kept the army idle for an year. And by that time, the power equations changed. And Khorasan came under powerful administration. So, simply wasting his time, Tughlaq wasted an opportunity. He waited, and by that time, Khorasan came under powerful rule. And finally, Tughlaq abandoned the plan and dismissed the 350,000. Finally, abandoned the plan and dismissed the 350,000. Dismissed the 350,000. So 350,000 were dismissed by Tughlaq. So you made 350,000 unemployed, plus the waste, huge waste on the Tughlaq treasury, 1 year salary and all, without any use. So second project also failed. Third project, Karachil expedition. Karachil expedition. Karachil expedition. Karachil is a region in the Himalayas, Uttarakhand Himalayas. Uttarakhand Himalayas. Geographically, we call it as the Kumaon Himalayas. Kumaon Himalayas. Kumaon Himalayas. So Kumaon Himalayas, that is in our Uttarakhand region, he sent an army to this region, Karachal expedition. Reason, to protect the Himalayan boundary from Chinese invasion. Reason, to protect the Himalayan boundary from Chinese invasion. To protect the Himalayan boundary from Chinese invasion. To protect the Himalayan boundary from Chinese invasion. Idea was to protect the Himalayan boundary from the Chinese. But the Sultanate army unnecessarily crossed into Tibet. They could have stopped at Himalayas, it would have been a better victory. But unnecessarily, the Sultanate army crossed over to Tibet, because Tibet was not our land and we don't know what is there in Tibet also. Geography of Tibet, people of Tibet, we are not aware of that. But just to show our strength, we pushed on to Tibet. Crossed over to Tibet, an entire army was annihilated. And the entire army was annihilated, that is destroyed. Entire army was destroyed, annihilated by the Tibetans. Annihilated by the Tibetans. So it was a blow to the prestige. The mighty Sultanate army was destroyed by some hillmen. Here the mistake was that you should have stopped at Himalayas. You should not have gone to an alien land. That was the mistake of the Tughlaq. Third one. Now fourth, the token currency. Token currency. That's the fourth project of Tughlaq. Token currency of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Tughlaq, token currency, we all use token currency now because 2000 rupee note, the value of that paper is not even 1 rupee. But as it is backed by the government Reserve Bank of India, the value is 2000. Same was the model Tughlaq issue. Tughlaq replaced the gold and silver coins. Tughlaq replaced gold and silver coins with a token currency made of bronze and copper. Token currency made of bronze and copper. Token currency made of bronze and copper. So we can equate this is the demonetization of the 14th century. That is, Tughlaq one day said that today onwards, gold coins and silver coins are not a legal tender. Instead, you will use bronze and copper coins instead of that. Reason, worldwide shortage of silver. Why he introduced this? Worldwide shortage of silver. Reason was the worldwide shortage of silver. Worldwide shortage of silver. And Tughlaq wanted to preserve his silver reserves. And Tughlaq wanted to preserve his silver reserves. That means if he continue to mint coins in silver, that will be over. So, reason, worldwide shortage. Tughlaq was not having the shortage, but there was a worldwide shortage of silver, and Tughlaq wanted to preserve his silver reserves. Idea is that simply your silver value will increase. Whenever there is a shortage, automatically the value will go up. So Tughlaq's idea was economical. That means he realized that if he could preserve his silver, its value will increase. And you are taking back all the silver and gold coin from the people, and instead you are returning them bronze and copper. So you may have some doubts how this will be functional. Just I will make a demo like that. See, assume that one gold coin and one silver coin. Okay, already it was there. One gold coin, silver coin. Now Tughlaq asked all the people to return. Just imagine that this is our 1000 rupee note and 500 rupee note banned by Modi. Okay. The same way, Tughlaq now asked to return the gold and silver coin. So, like we all stood before the banks in returning our 1000 and 500 rupee notes, the people of Delhi, they stood before the Sultanate Mint with their gold coin and silver coin. And Tughlaq now set a value. Assume that a value like this. Tughlaq said that one gold coin will receive 10 token currency, and one silver coin will receive 4 token currency. Now assume that there is a person called Ram there is another person called Rahim. So Ram and Rahim, two people of Delhi Sultanate. Ram have 10 gold coin, Rahim have 10 silver coin. Okay. Now Ram will go to the Sultanate mint and he will get back how much? 100 token currency. Now Ram will have 100 token currency and Rahim will have 40 token currency. So this is what Ram and Rahim will have. Now assume that earlier Ram and Rahim had biryani. One biryani was equal to 1 silver coin. Assume that that was the rate earlier, 1 silver coin. Now what to do? Both should give 4 token currency and have the biryani. So that means what all there in the society economy will be replaced with the token currency. Idea was superb. We all are using the same today. But Tughlaq thought that 600 years ago. 600 years ago, Tughlaq had this idea, or 500 years ago, before this currency notes and all emerged modern way. Tughlaq anticipated or innovated that 500 years. Had it was a success, Tughlaq would have been called Tughlaq the Great. But he failed here. Why? So this was the token currency. But token currency experiment failed. Token currency experiment failed because Tughlaq failed to monopolize the minting of coins. Tughlaq failed to monopolize the minting of token currency. Failed to monopolize the minting of token currency. Failed to monopolize the minting of token currency. Monopolize the minting of token currency. See, gold and silver, okay, it is high value metals, but that's not the case with the bronze and silver, copper. Bronze and copper are cheap metal and cheap alloy. Every blacksmith's home was converted into a mint in India. So people began to make the coins for their use. They didn't wait for the government. See, assume that in that last example I mentioned about that Ram. Ram was a rich man with a 10 gold coin. And now he got 100 token currency. Because he was rich only, he had seen gold coin. But assume that his servant was there. Okay, his servant was there. Say, let it be what? Let it be Kumar. Kumar was the servant of Ram who had never seen a gold coin in his life. Okay, earlier. But Kumar was fortunate to have a blacksmith friend. And Kumar made 250 forged coins. So now who is rich? Kumar is richer than his master Ram. So people began to use make coins for their use. So what happened? What you will know, you know what the counterfeit currency flood, inflation and hyperinflation. This resulted into economic chaos. Resulted into economic chaos. And finally, Tughlaq abandoned the token currency. So token currency was abandoned by Tughlaq. Tughlaq abandoned the token currency. So now no more token currency. Tughlaq abandoned token currency and returned the people gold and silver. So what he tried to preserve, he lost. He might have returned for the fake coins also. So that was a terrible economic disaster. So both the demonetizations, Tughlaq demonetization and Modi's demonetization, one thing was common, both were economic disaster. Okay, so this is what happened with the demonetization. Modi's demonetization also no use. Whatever he said fell apart. He said that it will prevent black money increase. He said that it will prevent counterfeit currency. 2,000 rupees having the full counterfeit currency across the country. No other currency had such a bad image in India like this 2000. Recently, there was a report from the government. Maximum counterfeit currency is 2000. What all he said, everything collapsed. And it created an unimaginable disaster. Demonetization destroyed lakhs of small-scale industries in India. Only benefited Ambanis and Adanis. No one else benefited from that. So Tughlaq's demonetization was also a terrible failure. So this 4 projects of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, what's the result? Economic crisis, the capital shift, Khorasan, Karachi, demonetization or token currency, destroyed the economy, entire economic collapse, no money for Tughlaq. Now what should be done? Something you have to do for getting the money. And that comes the fifth project, agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. Fifth project is agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. Agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. Agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. Agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. So faced with the financial crisis, Tughlaq doubled the tax. Doubled the tax. So he faced the trouble and he doubled the tax in Ganga Yamuna Doab. Ganga Yamuna Doab. That is land between Ganga and Yamuna river. Roughly we can say the Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. Ganga Yamuna river. Ganga Yamuna Doab. So he doubled the tax rates. Tughlaq, he doubled the tax rates, faced with the financial crisis. But at that time, there was a crop failure in North India. Crop failure. It was a time of crop failure. It was a time of crop failure. So what you will be expecting at the time of crop failure? The government will reduce the tax. Everyone will expect some concession because crop failure means you are not in a position to pay the existing tax. But at that time, it came like a shock. Double the tax. Even if you pay everything also, still you will be indebted to Sultan. This made the peasants mad. This resulted into peasants' revolt. This resulted into peasants' revolt. This resulted into peasants' revolt. And they set the standing crops on fire. They destroyed all the crops. They set the standing crops on fire, which resulted into 7-year-long famine in North India. 7-year-long famine in North India. So 7-year-long famine in North India. So 7-year-long famine in North India happened because of this peasant revolt. So this is not the agrarian reform. This is the background for the agrarian reform. Okay, so this was what happened. And Tughlaq stayed 4 years in Rajasthan because there was no food in Delhi. Delhi is in Ganga Yamuna Doab. No food in Delhi. Tughlaq was forced to live 4 years in Rajasthan. Reason was the famine. So Tughlaq realized this mistake. He realized that this was a terrible mistake. Yeah, peasants set the fire. Yeah, they only set the fire because they realized that even if they give everything to the whatever they cultivate, still they will be indebted to Sultan. They are not going to get anything under this double taxation. So they realized that they decided that if the Sultan won't allow us to eat anything, we won't allow Sultan to eat anything. So that was the retaliation. They set the crops. That was, even the peasants also died because of hunger, but their anger they exhibited in this way. So Tughlaq realized that that was a mistake. Now Tughlaq came up with agrarian reforms. So this was the background. Agrarian reforms of Tughlaq. First one, he created a department for agriculture. He created a department for agriculture. So an agriculture department was established by Tughlaq. An agriculture department was established by Tughlaq. Diwan-e-Kohi. That was an agriculture department established by Tughlaq. Diwan-e-Kohi. Diwan-e-Kohi. So probably he was the first ruler in the world to have a agriculture department. Now every state is having a separate dedicated agriculture department. So Tughlaq was really a man with so many skill, innovation and all, but he failed in the implementation part. That's what I want to say to you people also. You may have wonderful strategies for UPSC examination, but put that into practice. Otherwise, that will be wonderful plans only. Okay, wonderful plans should be put into practice. Diwan-e-Kohi. Second one, he started the practice of agricultural loans. Agri loans to the farmers, agricultural credit. That is also a standard practice today. Tughlaq started that in India. Agricultural loans, which was called Sondar or Takkavi. So these were the terms for that loans. Sondar or Takkavi. Sondar or Takkavi. Then Third one, Muhammad bin Tughlaq also promoted crop rotation, practices like crop rotation. So these were some of the agrarian reforms adopted by Tughlaq. But here also Tughlaq failed. It's a sad commentary, Tughlaq's life. The loans never reach the farmers. Loans never reach the farmers. The loans never reach the farmers. The loans never reach the farmers. And it was appropriated by the corrupt revenue officials. It never reached the farmers, and it was appropriated by the corrupt revenue officers. Appropriated by the corrupt revenue officers. It was appropriated by the corrupt revenue officers. So all the corrupt revenue officers, they appropriated this. And that's how Tughlaq became a classical failure. With good ideas, Tughlaq eventually failed. That is why he was traditionally projected as a mad ruler and also called the wisest fool. But we cannot reject Tughlaq like that. Tughlaq was a secular ruler. Next point. He was a secular ruler. He followed religious toleration. He was a secular ruler, participated in Hindu festivals, Holi, Diwali and all. He participated in Hindu festivals. Tughlaq. He participated in Hindu festivals and provided grants to temples, donations and grants to the temples. Provided donations and grants to the temples. Provided donations and grants to the temple. Then he appointed common man. He appointed people of humble origin into nobility. That is, he elevated common man to nobility. That is high administrative post. High administrative officers were the nobles. He was the first man probably to recognize the merit. Earlier, common man was not accepted as meritorious. The appointments to administration, military, everything was based on your family status. You born to high family, then you will be appointed. That was the norm of the time. But Muhammad bin Tughlaq was educated and he know the value of education. Tughlaq realized that merit is not the exclusive privilege of the high-born. Merit is there for everyone. It's a skill makes one meritorious or a leader. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq was probably the first ruler in the history. Even today also high-borns are respected, just like in the political parties and all getting seats and all. But Tughlaq was the first ruler to recognize merit in the common man. So he appointed the common man like barber, cook, washerman, gardener. See, in India, all these service jobs are considered very bad. That is our mistake. This is a country where there is no work ethics, and work ethics is not work culture. We can say not work ethics. Work culture is not respected in India. That's why all the service jobs. See, we all are heavily dependent on the barbers. Washing and all we can manage, but still barber and all we don't know how to cut. See, and during our corona time, many people became the skillful hairdressers because we are afraid to go to the saloons and all. But still, this service persons, barber, cook, washerman, all are essential services. But we never respect such people. Okay, earlier they were treated very bad in the society. Medieval times, ancient times, and till the recent times, the people who do these jobs and all treated very badly by the society. Tughlaq in the 13th or the 14th century recognized merit in such people and he admitted them into nobility, much to the anger of the existing nobles. But Tughlaq didn't care about that. So we can say that Tughlaq was a radical revolutionary man at that time. So here we have to give deserving respect to Muhammad bin Tughlaq rather than simply branding him as a mad ruler. He had, and his madness, capital in a centrally located position, securing the boundaries, introduction of the token currency, agrarian reforms, all were wonderful only. His ideas were not mad. The problem was in the implementation. Only in that implementation level Tughlaq failed. If it was into the positive side, we would have called Tughlaq the Great. We call Ashoka the Great, Akbar the Great. We could have had a Tughlaq the Great also in between, but Tughlaq became the mad. That was his fate, we can see. So this was Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Then next point. So that was there during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So this was the achievements of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The next point, the disintegration of Delhi Sultanate also began under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The disintegration of Delhi Sultanate also began under Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So the disintegration of Delhi Sultanate was also began during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Disintegration of Delhi Sultanate also began during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. South India and Bengal. South India and Bengal became independent during this period. South India and Bengal became independent during this period. South India and Bengal became independent during this period. So that was what happened during the period of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So this is regarding Muhammad bin Tughlaq's rule. And in 1351 he died. 1351 he died and was succeeded by his nephew. Succeeded by his failure of Tughlaq, you can see, not because of the nobles angry. See, shifting of capital, he could have won over the people rather than he forcefully shifted them. That was the reason. Plus, his absence from North India created troubles in North and South India also. After the shift also, he could not control effectively. That was his mistake only. Token currency was his mistake because he didn't take a preventive measure for checking the forgery by the people. A special mark or a special design, if he added to that coin, which could have been not that easy for others to imitate, he could have prevented that. That was his mistake. The third thing, Khurasan, he wasted the 1 year time. He wasted the 1 year time. 1 year time was wasted by Tughlaq. Okay. 1 year time was wasted by Tughlaq. Had he acted in 6 months, he could have simply conquered that region. Time and tide waits never for anyone, including Muhammad bin Tughlaq. That's what you people also should. Don't think that 8 months are still there for your next prelims. 8 months will fly away very fast. And by the time April, we will start. Then that's the third one. Then fourth one, that's the fourth project, token currency and Khurasan Karachil. And the fifth one is that agrarian reforms. He failed to take action against the corrupt officers. Officers simply mocked at the ruler. So here also, if the ruler was Alauddin Khalji, the people would not have that much courage to fold this. Everyone considered Tughlaq as a failure because of repeated failures. That gave them courage to cheat Muhammad bin Tughlaq. So primarily Tughlaq was the reason for the failure, not the nobles. And how the Tibetans defeated Sultanate army. It's a geography. Geography is the reason. See, for example, Tibet. No one know what was the Tibet. Tibet is a hilly region, dissected hill areas, and the Sultanate army entering there for the first time. Tibetans had the advantage of geography. They know their land better than the Indians. Hiding out in the hills, they hunted down the army which was traveling through the passes and the valleys. Same strategy adopted by Shivaji to the Mughals. How Shivaji resisted Aurangzeb. Had it was a straight battle between Marathas and Mughals, Marathas would not have lasted for 5 hours. That would have been thrown and blown away by the Mughal army if it was a straight war. Shivaji took advantage of Maharashtra's hills, and it was the guerrilla warfare of Shivaji that resisted the Mughals. It was not a fight of equals. Shivaji and Marathas were never equal to the Mughal army might. But Shivaji realized his limitation and he used what was there in his advantage, the hills and the geography of Maharashtra. Same way the Tibetans also did this. Okay, so that was Muhammad bin Tughlaq, succeeded by his nephew. Sir, why the Bengal and South India became independent? They wanted to get independent. Everyone had the desire to become independent ruler. So the capable people, they fought against the Tughlaqs. See, this is South India, conquered by rulers from Delhi. So the South Indians, they were not that happy as they are forcefully conquered. They had their own rule earlier. They had the rule of Hoysalas, they had the rule of the Warangal, they had the rule of Devagiri, they had the rule of their rulers. So Shivaji he fought against the Aurangzeb for regional independence. The people wanted to have regional independence. Tughlaq was having all the troubles, financial trouble and all. So they considered this is an opportunity to fight back. They fought back and they became successful. Vijayanagar, Bengal all emerged. That I will explain later how this Vijayanagar and all will got independence. South India independent because it is Vijayanagar and the Bahmanis. See, South India became independent. Two states are Bahmanis and the Vijayanagar. And of course the Madurai also. They were the governors of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay, they revolted when they realized that Delhi ruler is getting weak and Delhi is much away from South India. Taking that opportunity, they revolted. Reason was that distance from the capital, Bengal to the far end, South India to the far end. At that time, it was not easy to control. So the governors who became powerful, they raised the flag of revolt where they decided to make themselves the rulers. That's what happened. Okay, so that's it. Now next. So that is Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq over. Now next, his cousin, he was not cousin, nephew. So he was succeeded by his nephew, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He became the ruler in 1351. And Firoz Shah Tughlaq is best remembered for his charity welfare measures. His charity welfare measures. Best known for his charity welfare measures. Charity and welfare measures. He created a charity department, Diwan-e-Khairat. 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 That was a charity department established by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Charity department. And he provided assistance for the marriage of poor Muslim girls. In this department provided assistance for the marriage of poor Muslim girls. Provided assistance for the marriage of poor Muslim girls. Diwan-e-Khairat. Assistance for the marriage of Muslim girls. Then he created a pension department. Pension. Diwan-e-Ishtihaq. That department was called Diwan-e-Ishtihaq. Pension department that was called Diwan-e-Ishtihaq. Diwan-e-Ishtihaq. And provided old age pensions. Pensions to all the people. Old age pension. Today also, India government also give old age pensions. Every government gives old age pension. In many European countries, it is very huge amount, but India, we don't have that much income and that much all we are giving whatever possible. So that is Diwan-e-Ishtihaq. Then he established a government hospital in Delhi. Established a government hospital in Delhi, Darul Shafa. Darul Shafa. Established a government hospital, Darul Shafa. And free treatment to all subjects, irrespective of religion. That was something significant. Free treatment to all. No Hindu-Muslim bias. Here it was to all subjects. Free treatment to all subjects. Darul Shafa. Free treatment to all subjects. Darul Shafa. Darul Shafa. And then he also provided unemployment benefits also. To the unemployed people, he provided unemployed benefits also. Unemployed benefits. Unemployed benefits also he provided. Then economic measures of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Economic measures of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Economic measures of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He abolished all the cess introduced by the former sultans. All cess introduced by former sultans were abolished. 23 in number. And the term for the cess was abwab. Abwab was a term, the Islamic term for cess, Persian term, not Islamic term. Persian term for cess is abwab. And he abolished all the 23. You remember so many cess we are also paying. Higher education says, secondary education says, Krishi Kalyan says, Swachh Bharat says. Now all cess is into the GST. Okay, everything is in the GST. So cess was like that. This is the cess. So he abolished cess. Reason was not directly for the people's welfare, but why he abolished this was it was un-Islamic. That was the reason. Islam never allows the collection of anything other than the tax. But Alauddin Khalji Muhammad bin Tughlaq was not that bound by religion in the administration. So they, for the welfare of the state, they introduced the Abwab. But Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a ruler who was much into the religion. So he felt that this is not according to Islam to collect this cess. That's the reason he abolished it. Abwab is a Persian term. Yes, it's a Persian term. Okay. Then next, and our Hindi language and many Indian languages are filled with the Persian terms because the Persian was the language of India for almost 800 years. The rulers of India almost for 800 years, this was the ruling language in India. And even after the Mughal Sultan ruled during the British period also, this was the court language. In the court, our courtrooms, the language was Persian. And who was the Indian ruler or who was the ruler who changed Persian with English in the court? That's a modern India topic, you can say. Who made English the language of judiciary? Who replaced Persian with English? Who was that ruler? Modern India. Answer. Who replaced the Persian with English as the court language of India? Till that time, Persian was the judicial language. Yes. Answer from Asiatic cheetah. That is correct. William Bendick. William Bendick was the officer. William Bendick, it was in 1828, he replaced this. William Bendick. He made many judicial reforms. That William Bendick only replaced this. William Bendick. So Abwab was there. Abwabs were abolished. The next point, he collected, he was the, he constructed the largest network of irrigation canals. He constructed the largest network of irrigation canals. He constructed largest network of irrigation canals. See, in all our rivers like Ganga and all, Persian is no longer spoken in India. Yeah, I don't think anyone speaks Persian as such. Okay, Persian is a literary language in India. Earlier it was in UPSC optionals also. Very high scoring. People used to get 400 marks and all out of 600 and all. And those who are well versed in Persian used to get into service also. Pali was another language like that. 400 marks out of 600. When we were fighting to get a 300 plus in history, sociology, public administration, literature and all, this Pali version and all were getting 400, 410. And that is big game changer. Though very few cleared with the Pali and the Persian, but they had an advantage, added advantage. Now that language, that's not there. Persian and all removed from the optional languages of UPSC. So, Tughlaq constructed the largest network of canals. So, he made possible year-round cultivation in India because water is available. Because Ganga, Yamuna, Satluj all are perennial rivers. So, you cut out canals from these rivers, Around the year you can cultivate. So the huge production, economic, agricultural production was the result of this. And Tughlaq collected an irrigation tax. Difference between Arabic and Persian is the language of Persia, Iran, and Arabic is the language spoken by the Arabs. Just like Malayalam and Tamil, two languages. Okay. Arabic is the language of the Arab community. Persian is the language of the Iranians, Persians. So Persian is the Iranian language. Arab is the language spoken in the Arab world. Arab world includes this Egypt, then the Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, UAE, Iraq, and that Palestine and all. Okay, that is what the Arab language. It's just like Malayalam, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu. Arabic and Persian are entirely different. Two styles of language, two styles of writing, entirely different languages. And Arabic was never a language in India because Arabs never ruled India. Arabs never ruled India. Arabic is a language studied by the Muslims in India in their madrasas. And in some schools and universities also, Arabic is a language. Arabic is not a spoken language in India. Arabic. Okay. Hakeshrab. Okay. Sanskrit was the language introduced by the foreign Aryans. Aryans, when they entered India, they brought Sanskrit to India. So that is the Sanskrit. It's not an Indian origin language. It's the language of the Aryans who entered India. Okay. And Hakeshrab, that's it. Then from this Indian languages, Indian Prakrit language, see, for your doubt you asked, India had the Prakrit language. All other languages spoken in North India, other than Sanskrit, was called the Prakrit. And from this Prakrit, there emerged a talking language called Abhabramsha. Abhabramsha in North India. This was the talking language of North India, Abhabramsha, Prakrit to Abhabramsha. And this Abhabramsha went over this. In the last class, I think I mentioned this language development in the last class, yes or no? See, I mentioned that there was Indian feudalism, closed economy. Closed economic, if you want, you can, no, just this I will take in the art and culture class. But there's just, I got a doubt, I will say. See, when this feudalism happened, large number of closed economies emerged in India. Closed economy was not only for economy, politically, socially. The links between different regions came to an end. As a result, Abhabramsha developed regional dialects. And this regional dialects became Punjabi. From Abhabramsha, Punjabi, Hindavi, Bengali, Oriya, Assamese, Marathi, Gujarati, Rajasthani, Sindhi, all emerged from this Abhabramsha. This Hindavi later had two splits, enriched with the Persian. There emerged a language Urdu. So the Hindavi and the Persian link Urdu, and the traditional Indian terms along with the Persian and all, there developed Hindi also. So Hindi, Hindavi, from Hindavi emerged the modern Urdu as well as the Hindi. And Hindi and Urdu, no much difference is there, okay? No much difference is there. Only in the writing, the scripts used and all, that's the difference. Same was what happened in South India also. Adi Dravida. There was an Adi Dravida language. Adi Dravida eventually got split into two. South Dravida and North Dravida. North Dravida came under the influence of Sanskrit and it got split into Kannada and Telugu. Because Kannada and Telugu, Sanskrit domination is there. South Dravida also split into two. Tamil. That is, South Dravida was called Chendamil. The term Tamil was there also, Chendamil. That split into, Chendamil is a written language and Koduntamil is the talking language. Karin Tamil or Koduntamil was the talking language. Split into Tamil and Malayalam. All these languages in North India and South India, this development was between 8th and the 15th century. That was the time of that feudalism and all. So all the languages in India emerged during this period, 8th to 15th century. This was because of the fragmentation of the territories. Territories got split into fragments. So many states emerged, so many languages emerged. If it was under, see, assume that the Mauryas ruled India for 1,000 years. This much diversity would not have been there in India. We would have been having a common culture, common language and all. But the fragmentation of India from 500 AD onwards to 1200 AD, that contributed to this development of languages. So why? So now you may think that I am saying that Tamil is a new language emerged in the 8th century. Technically speaking, yes, but also not also, because Tamil is having that old features. Tamil was the name of the language in 300 BC also. 2020 AD also we use the term Tamil. But this Tamil also went under several changes. All the changes. The Tamil of the Sangam age, Tamil of the 10th century AD, different. And what Tamil we speak today also different. There are differences. For example, one example I will say. For example, in Sangam age, Sangam books like Tirukural, Mani Meghalai, Silappadigaram and all. The term for flower and rain, two examples I am giving. In Sangam age, Tamil called it as, not for flower, I don't know examples. Let me say leaf. Sangam age, it was called Ila, and rain was called Mara. That is, Tirukural, Mani Meghalai, Silappadigaram uses the term Ila and Mara for leaf and rain. But now what's there in the modern Tamil? Ilai, Marai. So like this changes were there. This was the old Tamil. This is the new Tamil. Okay. Malayalam still continues with Ila and Mara, but not the other Tamil terms. So that's the link between Malayalam, Tamil and all having a common parental heritage, but later two emerges to independent languages. That's it. So this is what the language history, as one doubt was raised, that's what I said. Okay, where did we stop? Before that, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, yeah, he collected an irrigation tax called Haq-e-Shrab. This was the irrigation tax collected by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and that was 1/10 of the produce. At the rate 1/10 of the produce. That was the share. Haq-e-Shrab share was 1/10 of the produce. That means you are using this water, canal water, and you produce 100 kilogram with that canal water, give 10 kilogram to the state. That's the meaning. So Haq-e-Shrab was there, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. The next point, he created a slave department. Divane Bandagan. He created a slave department called Divane Bandagan. And he collected around 70,000 slaves. He collected 70,000 slaves and gave them skill training. He gave them skill training. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he gave skill training to the slaves, and it benefited the manufacturing sector. So many skilled artisans, an advantage, you need not pay them any wage. Give them some water and food, that's enough. Slaves will never ask for wages. If it is independent artisans, you have to pay them wage. So state benefited by training the slaves. Skill training, manufacturing sector was boosted, plus many profit for the state. So Divane Bandagan. That was a financial economic measure adopted by this Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then he was a great builder. He renovated Qutub Minar. And added the 5th story to it. Added the 5th story to Qutub Minar. Originally, Qutub Minar was having only 4 stories. But he added the 5th one, Qutub Minar. Qutub Minar was once struck by lightning and it was destroyed partially. He renovated that, and as a part of that renovation, he added the 5th story to Qutub Minar. Then he shifted to Ashokan pillars. See, we studied about Ashoka's pillars. He uprooted 2 pillars, one from Meerut and another from Topra. He shifted that to Delhi, his capital to Delhi. To beautify his capital, he shifted 2 Ashokan pillars, one from Topra in Haryana, another one Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. Meerut in Uttar Pradesh. So in this way, Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a builder. Then he also founded large number of cities. So these were some of the cities established by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh, Fatehpur in Uttar Pradesh, Firoz Shah Kotla, Delhi, and Hisar, Haryana. These were the cities established. He also founded a new capital in Delhi, Firozabad. He founded a new capital in Delhi called Firozabad. That is Delhi. Within Delhi, he constructed something new and he named it Firozabad, his new capital. Firozabad was a new capital within Delhi only. In Delhi only. It's not a name change of Delhi. Within Delhi, he made a new capital area. That is Firozabad. Then he was a great scholar and patron of art and culture. Great scholar and patron of art and culture. Only Sultan to write an autobiography. Only Sultan of Delhi to write an autobiography. Futuhat-e Firoz Shahi. Only Sultan to write an autobiography. Futuhat-e Firoz Shahi. Then large number of Sanskrit works were translated into Persian during his period on diverse topics, medicine, music and all. Large number of Sanskrit works were translated into Persian during his period, and that translations had the title Dalalat-e Firoz Shahi. That is more than 300 works. More than 300 Sanskrit works were translated, and the entire body of that translations was called Dalalat-e Firoz Shahi. Finished? Okay. Then next, he had 2 historians in his court. His historians, Barani was his historian, and another historian was Shamsi Siraj Afif. 2 historians in his court. They wrote two separate books, but with the same title. Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. There is two books are there with the title Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. One written by Barani, another one written by Shamsi Siraj Afif. Both of them were his court historians. There are two separate books, but books have the same name, Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. So this was the benevolent role of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Now take a break for 10 minutes. We'll be back. So welcome back. So next topic. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So now we have seen the good side of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Now let's see some negatives of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. See, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, when he became the ruler of Delhi Sultanate, he faced much pressures from diverse elements of the society. See, because of the policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the nobles, the ulemas, the common people, all were very significant. Okay, so because of the policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, what happened was that nobles, the soldiers, the peasants, the ulemas, all were against the Delhi Sultanate because nobles were angry because of the induction of common man into nobility. Ulema was against the deterioration of their position than the secular policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Soldiers were unhappy because of Khorasan, Karachil, other defeats in South India, Bengal, and all. Army also had disaffection again to the state. And the common man, they were affected very badly because of the policies of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Demonetization, taxation, all this. And the peasants were forced to pay back the loans also, which they actually never took. The peasants, they never took any loans and all, but they were forced to give that also. So all this created big troubles for Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So when he came to the power, he faced a lot of pressure. So what he should do with these pressures? Firoz Shah Tughlaq faced much pressure from the diverse elements of the Sultanate. So what he should do? He could have ruled like Alauddin Khalji or Balban. By neglecting all the opposition, ruling with an iron hand, he could have simply ruled like that. But he adopted a negative stand. He tried to appease everyone. He tried to win over everyone. He tried to please everyone. And remember, no one can be successful if you try to please everyone in this world. No one can do that. Okay. And when you are becoming the officers of this nation, never try to please everyone. There is nothing called pleasing everyone. It's not possible. And no man in this history was praised equally by anyone, whether it is the gods, whether it is the kings, whether it is the reformers. Everyone is praised as well as criticized. So no one in this world was praised by everyone. So if someone criticizes you unnecessarily, no need to worry about that. That is the nature. No one in the 100 times people who are greater than you, they also face the same. Then remember that never try to please everyone. You will be failed. This is what happened to Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq, who faced opposition from diverse elements, followed the policy of appeasement. He followed the policy of appeasement. So he was a man who followed the policy of appeasement. That was his man. What he did, his appeasement for nobles. He made all administrative posts hereditary. All administrative posts hereditary. Hereditary. That means now no common man will be inducted into nobility. You, your son, your grandson, they will be the nobles. So to satisfy the nobles, he made administrative posts hereditary. Then to satisfy the ulema. What is ulema? What's ulema? What's ulema? Ulema is the Islamic leaders, religious class. So this ulema, to satisfy them, he brought them back to politics. He brought them back to politics. See, from Alauddin's period, I mentioned in the beginning today, he kept them out. But the ulema, they lost their position in the politics. That was restored. They were brought back to the politics and all their privileges were restored. All the privileges were restored. All their privileges were restored. Plus, Firoz Shah Tughlaq followed a communal religious policy. He followed a communal religious policy. He was not a religious tolerant. He was otherwise a very benevolent ruler, welfare motive, but this was definitely a blot in his character. He followed a communal religious policy to please the ulemas. So that was something very bad for Firoz Shah Tughlaq. He followed a communal religious policy. Then to satisfy the soldiers, he made the biggest blunder in the history. To satisfy the soldiers, he made the biggest blunder in the history. He made all military posts hereditary. He made all military posts hereditary. Now, if your father is a soldier, you will be a soldier. Your son will be a soldier. If you don't have a son, your son-in-law will become a soldier. So that means no merit now required. Even if you don't have the physical capacity to sprint for 100 meters, if you don't know how to keep a weapon in your hand, still, if you don't have any fighting spirit, if you don't have any courage, no issue, you will be inducted into the army. So this way, he destroyed the strength of the army. In one generation, Sultanate army consisted of parasites without any skill. Now, no training is also required. No skill is required. If your father is a soldier, a man without any physical prowess, physical fitness can be in the army. So this way, now no one worried about their skill in the fighting and their physical fitness. It was assured that you will be in the army. So with this man destroyed the strength of the Sultanate army. Delhi Sultanate army was the best army in the world, one of the best armies of the world at that time. Its vitality was destroyed with this by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Then Firoz Shah for the peasants. What he did for the peasants was he burned the register pertaining to agricultural loans. He burned the register pertaining to agricultural loans. The agricultural loans of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He burned the register pertaining to the agricultural loans. Burned the register pertaining to agricultural loans. That was a good step for the peasants because they never took any loan and they should not be penalized. But this was not a good measure for the state. By burning this, he destroyed the evidence. Rather, he should have freed the people with an order and he should have collected the appropriated amount from the revenue officials. By burning that, he destroyed the evidence. So, peasants were freed of their burden and the corrupt officers were also freed. And the loser was the state. So this was the appeasement of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So with all this, Firoz Shah Tughlaq somehow maintained, and the policy of appeasement, no big fighting against him. Everyone was happy under Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So no revolt, nothing. All of them practically ruled independent. So no big troubles were there. And Firoz Shah Tughlaq died in 1388 and was succeeded by weak rulers. Firoz Shah Tughlaq was succeeded by weak rulers. And in 1398, Central Asian invader Taimur attacked Delhi. Central Asian invader Taimur attacked Delhi. And he took away Punjab. Invaded Delhi, and it was a ruthless attack on Delhi. More than 2 lakh people were killed, and that was almost the population of Delhi. All entire population of Delhi was killed. He looted everything, and he took away Punjab. And this was a big setback. Okay, COVID is in its second wave, I think. There is France, Italy, all are going. Actually, I got a news update in my app. So I think that this year and next year also, Corona is going to control us. If this is a bad trend, seems to be a bad trend now. So Taimur, he invaded India. Taimur invaded India in 1398. And he took away Punjab. And this was a setback also. This was a great setback to the Delhi Sultanate. So just remember, Taimur attacked India 1398 and Punjab was lost. And the Sultan during the Taimur's invasion was Nasiruddin Muhammad. Nasiruddin Muhammad was the Sultan. So Nasiruddin Muhammad was the Sultan during this period. Naziruddin Muhammad. Naziruddin Muhammad was the Sultan during this period when Timur invaded. And Naziruddin died in 1412, and the Delhi Sultanate, Tughlaq Sultanate came to an end. Tughlaqs came to an end with the death of Naziruddin in 1412. Naziruddin died in 1412, and the Tughlaq dynasty came to an end. And the Tughlaq dynasty came to an end. So with this, the Tughlaqs came to an end. And you know, for 2 years, Delhi became vacant. No one was there to become a ruler in Delhi. And it was in 1414. 2 years gap. In 1414, Kisir Khan, he was Taimur's governor of Punjab. Kisir Khan, Taimur's governor of Punjab. Kisir Khan, the Taimur's governor of Punjab. Kisir Khan, the Taimur's governor of Punjab. He established the Said dynasty in Delhi. He came to Delhi and established the Said dynasty in 1414. See, Kisir Khan, because of his respect to Taimur, he never took the title Sultan. Because of respect to Taimur, Kisir Khan never took the title Sultan. Instead, he had the title Rayyat-e-Ala. Rayyat-e-Ala. That was the title he adopted. So Kisir Khan had never took the title Sultan and instead had the title Rayyat-e-Ala. Rayyat-e-Ala was the title of Kisir Khan. Rayyat-e-Ala. So Rayyat-e-Ala was his title. Then we were very fortunate that no one had written much about the Sayyids. So nothing to study much on the Sayyids. And the last Sayyid ruler was Alam Shah. Alam Shah was the last Sayyid ruler. Alam Shah. And he abdicated, he gave up his power in 1451. Alam Shah abdicated his power in 1451. And in the favor of his commander, he gave up the throne to his commander, Behlol Lodi. He gave up his throne to his commander, Behlol Lodi. He gave up his throne to his commander, Behlol Lodi, and thus the Sayyid dynasty came to an end. Sayyid dynasty came to an end. And the only historical source, the only trusted historical source on Sayyid dynasty is a book, Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi. Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi. About the Sayyid ruler Mubarak Shah. This is the only historical book which mentions about the rule of the Sayyid dynasty. Tariq-e-Mubarak Shahi, written by a person, Yahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi. Yahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi. Yahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi. So this Yahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi. Yahya bin Ahmad Sarhindi. He was a man who wrote the book Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, the only historical work on Sayyid dynasty. Now next, the last dynasty of Delhi, Lodi dynasty. Lodi dynasty, 1451 to 1526. 1451 to 1526. Lodi dynasty. Established by Behlol Lodi. Established by Behlol Lodi. This was the first Afghan dynasty of India. This was the first Afghan dynasty of India. First Afghan dynasty of India. Okay. Ibn Battuta and all we will study in the art and culture. Okay, I purposefully avoided many topics. Only with art and culture, our medieval ancient also will be complete. Art, culture topics, the travelers and all, I leave there. I will take that. Okay. So, Lodi dynasty, Behlol Lodi, first Afghan dynasty. See, when an Afghan dynasty was established in India, lakhs of Afghans migrated to India. Lakhs of, notes is enough. Not will be enough. I don't want you to read that 11th NCRT also for Medieval India. Medieval India 11th NCRT is very huge. Class notes will be enough because the return is not that big. Okay, 1 or 2 questions from Medieval India and art and culture Medieval India also 2, 3. So sometimes 2 to 5 questions will be there from Medieval India. Very significant nowadays. 1 mark is also very crucial. You know the competition. Class notes will be enough. And you can go with the Shankar Academy material for some facts. Other than that, NCRTs, if you can, you read, or else you read the lower standard, that is the 6th, 7th, 8th, just for an idea. Other than that, I don't prefer reading NCRT for medieval India because it's very lengthy book it is. So no need. So Behlol Lodi. Then next, in 1489, Behlol Lodi was succeeded by Sikandar Lodi. Behlol Lodi was succeeded by Sikandar Lodi, his son. He established the city of Agra and made it his capital in 1506. He established the city of Agra and made it his capital in 1506. And made it his capital in 1506. So he made it his capital in 1506. Sikandar Lodi. Then in 1517, Sikandar was succeeded by his son Ibrahim. Ibrahim Lodi. Ibrahim Lodi, the third Sultan and the last Sultan, Ibrahim Lodi. He came into conflict with the Rajput king of Mewar. He came into conflict with the Rajput king of Mewar, Rana Sanga. Mewar. He came into conflict with the Rajput king of Mewar, named Rana Sanga. Rajput king of Mewar, named Rana. Not Rang Sanga, it is Rana Sanga. Rana Sanga. Okay, it's Rana Sanga. And both of them entered into a war, Battle of Gatoli, 1519. Battle of Gatoli, 1519. And Rana Sanga defeated Ibrahim Lodi. Rana Sanga defeated Ibrahim Lodi. Rana Sanga, he defeated Ibrahim Lodi. Name of the battle is in the board. Gatoli. Battle of Gatoli. So now the sultans not that powerful in India. In Delhi, they are not that powerful. They are also getting defeated. And it was during this time, this Rana Sanga, he invited Babur. He sent an invitation letter to Babur. Babur was an invader in Kabul. He was a ruler and an invader in Kabul. He used to invade Punjab because he was not having income in Afghanistan. So Babur, he is of Uzbekistan origin. Babur's original place is Uzbekistan. From his family kingdom Samarkand, he was thrown out by his uncle Muhammad Shaibani Khan. No need to write anything, just listen. Babur was in the Uzbekistan Fargana Valley. His kingdom was Samarkand. From Samarkand, after his death of his father, after the death of his father, 10-year-old Babur was kicked out by his uncle Muhammad Shaibani Khan. And Babur, with the trusted some nobles and all, they came down to Afghanistan, conquered Kabul, and was ruling Kabul. As there was no income in Kabul, he used to conduct attack on Punjab. So Babur was a lutera. He was a looter, a Gabbar Singh at that time. Rana Sanga, he now sent an invitation to Babur. Babur, please come and attack Delhi. Why are you troubling Punjab? Come to Delhi. You have plenty of income here. Babur was shocked. Someone is inviting me to attack his own territory or his own land. Rana Sanga had his own dreams. Rana Sanga wanted to become the master of Uttar Hindustan, that is North India. He wanted to become the master of North India. But he was not having that courage to attack Delhi also. Though he defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the Rajput stronghold of Gatoli, he was not having that much courage to attack Delhi. So what Rana Sanga thought that, like his great grandfather, Babur will attack Delhi, he will loot Delhi, he will give a big blow to the Delhi Sultanate and will go back. That was what Rana Sanga expected. And in that confusion, it will be easy for him to throw out the sultans and to become the master of Delhi and the whole of North India. So that was the dream of Rana Sanga. He invited Babur. Thus, Babur got a legitimacy now to attack India. You are being invited by the Indians to attack. Babur also got an invitation from Daulat Khan Lodi. Not only Rana Sanga, Babur also got an invitation from Daulat Khan Lodi. Daulat Khan Lodi. Babur also got an invitation from Daulat Khan Lodi, the governor of Punjab. He was the Lodi governor of Punjab. Punjab was a province of Lodis. The Punjab governor also invited Babur. Why? He was a corrupt governor. Ibrahim Lodi wanted to take action against him. So he wanted to teach Ibrahim a lesson. If you dare to take action against me, then I will call Babur and attack you. So thus Babur got twin invitations, one from the Lodis and one from the Rajputs. Babur entered India. First battle of Panipat. First battle of Panipat. Panipat is in Haryana, just north of Delhi. First battle of Panipat, 1526. Babur defeated and killed Ibrahim Lodi. Babur, he defeated and killed Ibrahim Lodi. Babur defeated and killed Ibrahim Lodi. This was the fifth invasion of Babur on India. Fifth invasion, not the first. It was the fifth invasion of Babur on India. This marked the end of Delhi Sultanate. This marked the end of Delhi Sultanate. Marked the end of Delhi Sultanate. Marked the end of Delhi Sultanate and the establishment of Mughal dynasty. And the establishment of Mughal dynasty. Establishment of Mughal dynasty. So that's the end of Delhi Sultanate. And now the next topic, Mughals. So now comes our next topic, Mughal Empire. Mughals. And I will cover the topics from 1526 to 1707, which is known as the Great Mughals. Babur to Aurangzeb. After that, already you might have studied if your modern India class was over. The later Mughals, the worthless Mughals. Okay. So this is the history of the Great Mughals. So Babur now established Mughal Empire in India, and whose dream was shattered. Whose dream was shattered because of Babur's establishment of Mughal Empire in India. A fellow's dream was shattered, Rana Sanga. So you can imagine the situation of Rana Sanga. It would have been easy for him to throw out the Lodhis from Delhi, but he simply invited a danger, Babur, to India. Now, anyway, Babur-Rana Sanga war was inevitable. Rana Sanga was not ready to accept Babur. So, war between Babur and Rana Sanga. Battle of Khanwa. Battle of Khanwa. Battle of Khanwa. 1527. Rana Sanga was defeated. That means Babur defeated Rana Sanga. Babur defeated Rana Sanga. So that was more decisive. Okay, Panipat was not a decisive victory. Lodhis were not that powerful. But by defeating Rana Sanga, Babur made it confirm that Mughals is to continue in India. So, Khanwa. So, Mughals were just 50,000 only. They reached India with just 50,000 and they are going to rule this country for the next 200 years or more. So, Babur successfully defeated Rana Sanga and thus became the formidable contender for India. And you know what happened to Rana Sanga? He wanted to continue the war after that defeat also, but he was given some poison by his own men and Rana Sanga was killed. So one invitation letter that cost him his life, his rule and everything. So sometimes it is Vinash Kale Vibrit Buddhi. Okay, that's what happened to Rana Sanga, Khanwa, 1527. Babur consolidated the Mughal rule in North India. Babur consolidated the Mughal rule in North India, but he died soon in 1530. And was succeeded by his son Humayun. Not a worthful successor. He was a worthless successor, Humayun. Just because he was the eldest son of Babur, he became the ruler. Other than that, he was not that skilled enough to become an emperor. So Humayun became the ruler. He wasted his time by constructing a new capital in Delhi, Din Pana. He wasted his time by constructing a new capital in Delhi, Din Pana. He wasted his time by constructing a new capital in Delhi, Din Pana. Why wasted? In this class itself, I mentioned Firoz Shah Tughlaq was a great builder constructing a capital in Delhi. But I didn't say that Humayun was a great builder who constructed a capital. Rather, I accuse him that he wasted his time by constructing a capital, Din Pana. Why? Why? Is it because of my double standards? I dislike Humayun and said like that. Why this is like that? Why I said that he wasted the time by constructing a new capital? Why it was so? Can anyone say? Can anyone think a logic behind that? And can you say that? Maybe he only did that work in India in lifetime, not because of that. Not because of that. Why I say that he wasted the time? That means that adversely affected the Mughals. Already Delhi had a powerful capital. No, not that. Yes. He died in that capital. Oh no. Answer is from that Asiatic cheetah. I don't know what's your original name. Your answer is correct. The thing is that he didn't consolidate. See, Mughal rule is just 4 years in India. Just 4 years in India. Mughal enemies are still active. The Afghan Lodhis and others are not suppressed. They are still in India. They are just thrown out of Delhi only. Bihar and Bengal and all, the Afghani Muslims are there in plenty. The Afghan Lodhis are there still remaining. He should have focused his time and energy to suppress the enemies and consolidate Mughal rule in India. Rather than concentrating on consolidating the rule of the Mughals, he simply wasted the time by constructing the Inpana. So what happened? Meanwhile, the Afghans strengthened their position. Meanwhile, Afghans strengthened their position in Bengal and Bihar. In Bengal and Bihar, under Sher Khan. Afghans now got a good leader named Sher Khan, and under Sher Khan, Afghans strengthened their position. Afghans strengthened their position with the help of Sher Khan, or with not the help, under the command of Sher Khan, Afghans strengthened their position in Bengal and Bihar. So Bengal and Bihar was not conquered by Mughals. Bengal and Bihar still in the hands of Afghans. And there Afghans recouped from the setback at Panipat under their new leader Sher Khan. And by the time Humayun realized this, it was too late. It was too late. Okay, Humayun was defeated by Sher Khan. Humayun was defeated by Sher Khan in the battles of Chausa. In the battles of Chausa and the battles of Chausa and Kanauj. So back-to-back defeats. Mughal ruler of Delhi was defeated back-to-back at Chausa and at Kanauj by Afghani Sher Khan in 1539 and 1540. So two big battles again in the history of India, Battle of Chausa, Battle of Kanauj. Battle of Chausa and Battle of Kanauj. So Humayun was defeated twice. After the Battle of Kanauj, Humayun occupied Delhi, Sher Khan occupied Delhi in 1540. Sher Khan occupied Delhi in 1540. Sher Khan, he occupied Delhi in 1540. Occupied Delhi in 1540 and established the second Afghan dynasty in India, Sur dynasty. Established the second Afghan dynasty in India, the Sur dynasty. Which was the first one? Which was the first Afghan dynasty? Yeah, Lodi. And this was the second Sur dynasty. And Sher Khan became Sher Shah. When he became the ruler, he took the title Shah, Sher Shah. So thus the second Afghan dynasty. Sher Shah's rule we will study in the administration. Remarkable ruler, okay? 5 years only he ruled. Remarkable. Even today, our rupee, it is a contribution from that man. He was a great, great man. And who are using that National Highway 1 and 2 in North India also, it was constructed by Humayun. The GT road, Grand Trunk road, that Delhi to Amritsar Wagah border and Delhi to Calcutta. That road is also his creation. We will see that later in the administration part. Humayun became a wanderer. Humayun became a wanderer, lost everything, started running. Okay. And anyway, while running, he decided to marry someone and he married Hamida Banu. Okay. Humayun became a wanderer and he married Hamida Banu. Hamida Banu. And Akbar was born to them. Akbar was born to them in 1542. Akbar was born to them in 1542. Probably the only good thing from Humayun was Akbar. Okay. So Akbar was born to them in 1542 at Amarkot in Sindh. Birthplace of Akbar, Amarkot, Sindh. At the palace of Rana Birshal. Akbar was born in the palace of a Rajput king, Rana Birshal. Rana Birshal. So Rana Birshal. But still, Birshal was not able to give asylum to Humayun because of the threat from Sher Shah. And finally, Humayun reached the Iranian court. So he went to Iran. Humayun went to Iran. Okay. Iranian court. And there the king was Shah Tahmasp. Iranian king was Shah Tahmasp. Jodha was not the daughter of Birshal. Okay. That we will see later. Iranian court, Shah Tahmasp gave refuge to Humayun. So this is what happened in the Mughal history from 1540 to 1555. So 15 years, Mughal rule was not there in India. From 1540 to 1555, Humayun was in Iran. Meanwhile, changes in India. Sher Shah died in 1545 and his successors were not that powerful. The empire got disintegrated and the source began to decline. Humayun had the courage to come back. Anyway, he had a boring life in Shah Tahmasp court because he was a king in India. Now you are a refuge in the Iranian court. You won't get the same respect. Humayun got bored and he decided to come back. 1555, Humayun came back, and after the Battle of Machiwara, 1555, he conquered Punjab and Delhi. So, Battle of Machiwara, Humayun conquered Punjab and Delhi. So, Punjab and Delhi was conquered by Humayun. Punjab and Delhi. But he was an less fortunate man. Humayun soon died by falling from the stairs of his library. Humayun soon died by falling from the stairs of his library. Humayun soon died by falling from the stairs of his library. And Akbar, aged 13-year-old Akbar, was declared the Mughal emperor. Akbar, aged 13, declared as the Mughal emperor. So Akbar became the Mughal emperor. 13-year-old Akbar now became the Mughal emperor. And he was under the regency of Bairam Khan, that is under the guardianship of Mughal Prime Minister Bairam Khan. Mughal Prime Minister Bairam Khan. Mughal Prime Minister Bairam Khan. So that was what happened. But soon a danger happened for the Mughals. Hemu, the Prime Minister of Jaunpur, that is a kingdom in eastern UP, named Jaunpur. We already mentioned about Jaunpur, constructed by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Jaunpur's Prime Minister Hemu, guardian name Bairam Khan. Bairam Khan. B-A-I-R-A-M. Bairam Khan. B-A-I-R-A-M. Bairam Khan. So Hemu, the Prime Minister of Jaunpur, he conquered Delhi from the Mughals. Once again, Delhi was lost to Mughals. Hemu declared himself as a king. Now Hemu declared himself as a king, Raja Hemachandra Vikramaditya. Raja Hemachandra Vikramaditya. So Hemu, who started the career as a water carrier for the soldiers, rose to the position of a commander, commander-in-chief, minister, prime minister because of his merit, and one of the finest war heroes of India. Fought 22 battles in the lifetime and lost only 2 battles. And the second battle lost was the coming battle only. When he became the ruler, he fought 21 battles and lost only 1. Such a marvelous, superior war hero. Occupied Delhi from Mughals, declared himself as Raja Hemachandra Vikramaditya. Delhi was the historical capital of India. To remain as the ruler of India, you should conquer Delhi. So Mughals, it became inevitable for them to conquer Delhi. Second Battle of Panipat. Second Battle of Panipat. 1556. Second Battle of Panipat. 1556. Mughals won the battle and Hemu was killed. Mughals won the battle and Hemu was killed. Had Hemu won the battle, India's history would have been different. No Mughal rule in India. So Hemu was killed and Mughals won the battle and Mughals was to remain in India. So that was the second battle of Panipat. In 1560, Akbar took over the administration into his hands. In 1560, Akbar took over administration into his hands and Bairam Khan was pensioned off. Bairam Khan was pensioned off. He was pensioned off and sent to Mecca. Bairam Khan was pensioned and he was sent to Mecca. But before reaching Mecca, Bairam Khan was killed by his enemies. Bairam Khan was killed by his Mughal enemies. Bairam Khan was an Iranian and Mughals had a hatred against Bairam Khan. And the most finest prime minister ever in the Mughal history, Bairam Khan was finally killed by the Mughal enemies for his loyalty. But this was what the poor Bairam Khan received. Sad thing, Bairam Khan was gone. Akbar never had any role in that killing, okay? Akbar never did any harm on Bairam Khan. Akbar was not responsible for that. And what Akbar did was, Akbar married the widow of Bairam Khan just to give her respect and the protection to the son of Bairam Khan. Akbar married Salima Sultan not just as a husband-wife relation. Akbar just for the sake of protecting and giving his tribute to Bairam Khan, his guardian, Akbar declared that I am marrying his wife Salima Sultan and to protect the son of Bairam Khan. So that now Salima Sultan is not a mere widow. She is a wife of Emperor Akbar and the son is the stepson of Emperor. So they will get the due respect. Just for that, Akbar was a great man. In that way, he gave the tribute to Bairam Khan. Now next, Akbar expanded the Mughal rule. Akbar expanded the Mughal rule in India. Akbar expanded the Mughal rule in India. He conquered the states like Merta, Malwa, here is wrong, one second. Merta, Malwa, Gadkatanga, and Gadkatanga was ruled by a woman, Rani Durgavati. It's a tribal state. Gadkatanga, Gond tribal state. Gondwana, it is also called Gondwana. In the Madhya Pradesh Chhattisgarh region, Gadkatanga, Durgavati was the ruler. Then Gujarat, 1573, Kabul, 1585, Kashmir, 1586, Kashmir, 1586, then Sindh, Balochistan, and Orissa. Here I am not remembering and not that significant. These are the significant conquests of Akbar. Mertha, Malwa, Gatkatanga, Gujarat and all. Then next point, all the Rajput states except Mewar, all the Rajput states except Mewar surrendered before Akbar. All the Rajput states except Mewar surrendered before Akbar. Surrendered before Akbar. So Mewar was the only state that refused to surrender before the Mughals. Akbar captured Chittor, the capital of Mewar, in 1567. Akbar captured Chittor, the capital of Mewar, in 1567. But the Mewar king, Rana Pratap Singh, continued the war against the Mughals. Rana Pratap Singh continued the war against Mughals. Rana Pratap, Maharana Pratap, that is Rana Pratap Singh, popularly called Maharana Pratap. So Rana Pratap Singh, he continued the war against the Mughals, and Battle of Haldigati. Battle of Haldigati. Battle of Haldigati. 1576. Battle of Haldigati, 1576. Okay. It's in Rajasthan, and the soil, it is a pass, mountain pass in the Aravallis, where the soil is like the turmeric color, haldi. That's why it is called Haldigati. Okay, Haldigati battle, 1576. The Mughals led by Rajput king Raja Man Singh. Mughals led by Rajput king Raja Man Singh. Mughal commander was Raja Man Singh. A Rajput king Raja Man Singh was the commander of the Mughals. Mughals led by Raja Man Singh defeated Rana Pratap. So Mughals led by Raja Man Singh defeated Rana Pratap. Then Pratap still continued guerrilla warfare. So not the direct warfare, but using the forest of South Rajasthan, he began to fight the guerrilla warfare with the help of Bhil tribals. So it was the tribals came to the help of Rana Pratap, Bhil tribals. Bhil tribals, they helped the Rana Pratap in their fight against Mughals. Rana Pratap continued the fight till his death in 1597. Pratap never surrendered. Pratap continued the fight till his death in 1597. 1597. Pratap Singh. Then next, the last conquest of Akbar was the Khandesh plain in Deccan. That is Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh border. The last conquest of Akbar was Khandesh plain and the Azirgarh fort. in 1601. This was the last conquest of Akbar. Khandesh Plain and Asirgarh Fort from the Deccan kingdom of Ahmednagar. So Deccan at that time was ruled by, that is Maharashtra region was ruled by a kingdom called Ahmednagar. So Akbar took Khandesh and Asirgarh from Ahmednagar in 1601. So after the North Indian conquest, Akbar moved to South India. But before he could not make much, Akbar died in 1605. So that's why South Indian expansion didn't happen under Akbar. So this was how the Akbar created an empire. So that's regarding the expansion of Akbar. Okay. Now, next topic, religious policy of Akbar. Religious policy of Akbar. Religious policy. Chand Bibi is in Ahmednagar only. No need to study Chand Bibi and all. If you lot of history to study, but that's not an important topic for us. Religious policy of Akbar. Religious policy of Akbar. Akbar followed a liberal religious policy. Akbar followed a liberal religious policy. Liberal religious policy. Akbar followed a very liberal religious policy. He abolished pilgrimage tax on Hindus. He abolished pilgrimage tax on Hindus. See, earlier Hindus, when they visited the temples, they paid a tax to the state. That pilgrimage tax was abolished by Akbar. Second point, Akbar abolished jizya in 1564. Akbar abolished jizya in 1564. Jizya was a tax paid by non-Muslims. It was a tax paid by the non-Muslims for protection by the state. For their protection by the state. Non-Muslims for their protection by the state. Non-Muslims for their protection by the state. See, this is according to the Islamic Sharia law. In an Islamic country, if non-Islamic followers are there, then they should pay a tax to the state to get the protection from the state. Discriminatory only. Okay, no doubt in that. Dividing the people in the name of religion in a kingdom. So the meaning is that if you are not paying jizya, you could be killed or attacked or looted by anyone. State won't take any action against the attacker. If you want some protection from the state, you have to get the support from the, you have to pay the jizya. Akbar realized that this is a discriminatory and this is the most important step taken by Akbar in the matter of religion. He abolished jizya and thereby created an empire on the basis of equality of citizens. That was an important event from Akbar. What's the doubt? One doubt is something there, Varna system. The Varna system was there in India all the time, from its beginning to this date. Okay. And the Article 17 is an irony. Okay. Article 17, fundamental right, abolition of untouchability is still an irony in India. So, second one, jizya. Third one, Akbar banned forcible conversion. Akbar banned forcible conversion of prisoners of war. Akbar banned the forcible conversion of prisoners of war. Akbar, he banned the forcible conversion of prisoners of war. See, that means earlier, if you capture the enemy soldiers and if they are not Muslims, they will be forcefully converted into Islam religion. Now Akbar said that no such forcible conversion. If anyone wants to become Muslim, let them. Other than that, no forcible conversion. The next point, Akbar entered into matrimonial alliances with the Hindu families. Entered into matrimonial alliances with Hindu families. He married many Hindu princesses. Akbar entered into matrimonial relations with Hindu families. Entered into matrimonial relations with Hindu families. Matrimonial relations with Hindu families. That was already there in India, Hindu-Muslim marriages even in the Sultanate period. But what was significant here is that Akbar gave full religious freedom to his Hindu wives. That was not happened earlier. Whether it is Hindu marrying a Muslim or Muslim marrying a Hindu, husband's religion was your religion. But Akbar never converted his Hindu wives. Akbar gave full religious freedom to his Hindu wives and even constructed temples for them. That was the broad-mindedness of Akbar. No, even if Akbar didn't give them religious freedom, no one would have criticized Akbar, because at that time there was no voice for women in India. Okay, women was completely subordinate to men. So even if Akbar didn't allow them to worship their gods, and if Akbar forcefully converted them to Islam, no one would have questioned or criticized Akbar at that time. This was a genuine broad-mindedness of Akbar. No one asked Akbar to do that also. It was the wish of Akbar. Akbar realized that there is no point in converting a people when they believed something for last 20 years. Suddenly, a name change and all is not going to create any change. So that was really a goodwill from Akbar. So that's all for today. We will see in the next class. Okay.